Welcome to an overview of the SAP integration for IBM Planning Analytics. I'm Christian Wagner, a product specialist at IBM. SAP is widely used as an ERP system across all industries. Therefore, it's the most important source of actual data for EPM systems such as IBM Planning Analytics. Older SAP systems like R3 and ECC were difficult to access for data extraction. This has changed with the introduction of new interfaces in S4 and other components. Since then, SAP content has been directly accessible in the form of an OData provider. An OData provider is simply a virtual table that can be accessed through a URL. This video shows a sample workflow where data is transferred from S/4HANA to IBM Planning Analytics using the SAP connector. The OData connectivity itself is the same mechanism as SAP uses itself. It supports all OData SAP sources, both version 1 and 2. It works with various SAP components. It's read and write. It works securely. It encrypts the data when transferring. It doesn't persist any data. It executes a direct data transfer without any interim staging or such. It's very lightweight. It's a small executable file with a JSON configuration component. So how does the flow work? The first thing that needs to happen is that on the customer side, you need to create an OData provider in SAP. That OData provider is a virtual table where you select which columns you want to expose externally. After you created that provider, you need to do step 2. You need to create TM1 dimensions and a TM1 cube using Modeling Workbench. These dimensions and cubes can be empty. Then there comes step 3, which is the most important one. There you map the data from the OData provider with the structures in the TM1 cube. You have two options to do that. You can either do it directly in a JSON file. In the end, the JSON file stores the configuration of the mapping. That JSON file looks like this. You have the source column and you have the target column in TM1, and there you can see everyone who understands JSON sees how that mapping works. But not everyone wants to write the JSON file directly. Therefore, there is another option. We provide a GUI to do the mapping graphically. It's not officially supported yet, but it comes with a connector and can be used. Let's look at that GUI. Now we see one mapping process, and then we can edit that mapping process. What is behind that? On the left side, you can see the connection information to the SAP source system. There is the OData URL, there's username, password, and some further information. We can check whether that connection works. It's checked, it works fine. On the right side, you have the corresponding information of the target system, which is the TM1 REST API. There you also check the connection. It's also okay. Then we go to the next step. There the actual mapping happens. We see that's the target cube. Then we are mapping the dimensions. You have the different columns of the OData provider and they get mapped to dimensions. As an example, let's look at the time dimension. There you can see we use several columns of the source OData provider and we combine them to a hierarchy in the time dimension. If we want to change that, we could just go there and there you can see there are the different columns of the source systems and we can pick which one we want to use in what situation. Similar, it would be with other components. We are editing this. And there you could also select then the different columns of the OData provider and map them to the TM1 dimensions. Then in the below section, you can see the measures. There are 5 measures transferred, and we also can just select them, go there, and pick the ones we want to use, and we want to decide where we want to place them. Once this is done, We can check this configuration, it is fine, and we can save it and execute it. When we save the configuration, the JSON file gets created or updated. So in the end, the GUI is just a graphical UI to create that JSON file. Once we created that mapping, then the process can be executed. It can be executed from anywhere. It could be executed by an external job scheduler. It can be executed just through the command line. And it can be also executed using a TI process, what we do in our example. That TI process calls the connector exe and the mapping file and can pass parameters. It looks like this in the GUI. I have here a cube. There is data in there, so let's first clear that data up. The cube is empty now. And in the end, I'm just executing the process. I can pass a parameter, and then the data gets loaded. The data is there. It is in TM1, and from there, you can take it and do whatever you want with the data. The process behind that button, how does it look like? To close the loop, I'm having here an action button that calls the TI process, and the process is called SAP Import Staging Cube. Let's look at the process itself. It looks like this. There is the execute command calling the connector exe and pointing to the JSON file and passing a parameter. These three things are in there. In version 11, it's execute command. In version 12, it is execute HTTP request. That thing can be integrated in anything. It can be used just leveraging the internal TM1 scheduler, or it can be executed from any other scheduler or from any command line. With that, we finished the workflow, how to import data from SAP source systems into TM1 using the OData provider. Further information can be found on the product website. For anyone interested in a personal consultation, I have included my contact information at the beginning of the video and in the description. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.